Hello everybody, welcome to another video from AA Sports Cards. My name's Michael Chark. Thanks everybody as always for watching. This video is a little different because you are not going to see a single hockey card in this. Hockey cards, baseball cards, vintage, high-end, modern are our bread and butter, but I love historical sports memorabilia. And when the opportunity presents itself, I always try to buy it. And I wanted to show some of the cool items that we have purchased recently and we have for sale. Again, I am holding the camera as I do this. I apologize for the way these videos come out, but it's one 56-year-old guy making these, but trust me, the passion is there. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, the first item, a game-used goalie stick from Hall of Famer Eddie Giacomin, and this is circa 1974. Now, I wanted to tell a story about this stick, and it's probably a reach, but not an impossible reach. I wanted to show that the stick is stamped. So it is from 1974. I was correct. The first hockey game I ever went to was at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver. It was, of course, my beloved Vancouver Canucks against the New York Rangers. I was about 8 years old, and I have vivid memories of wanting to hold my ticket in the car on the way down to the Pacific Coliseum where the Canucks played. And when we were walking towards the Pacific Coliseum, anybody familiar with that rink knows that you can see ice level as you walk towards the building. It's not like Rogers or the new arenas now where you have to enter the building, go up an escalator or an elevator or something like that, and the ice is on a different floor or level. This was the ice was on ground level, and as soon as I saw the white of the ice, I ran ahead of my dad. I remember the turnstile, clinking, that metal clink. And I had never been to the Coliseum before, but instinctively, I ran straight ahead up to where the standing room only was. Sorry about the glare there. And it was during the pregame warm-up. And I thought I was talking to my dad, and I was pointing out all the players because the Rangers were at the end of the rink where I was standing. And I was saying to my dad, there's Steve Vickers, there's Dale Rolfe, there's Rod Gilbert, there's Eddie Giacomin. And then I turned to the person who I thought I was having the conversation with being my father, and it wasn't my father. It was a stranger. And I started bawling my eyes out, crying. And this nice man took me by the hand into the concourse of the Pacific Coliseum, and my father was leaning against the railing, smoking a cigarette. I also remember that the Canucks lost 4-1 or something like that. They scored one goal late in the game, probably a couple minutes left. I think it was like Dennis Kearns took a point shot from the blue line, and it just trickled in past Steady Eddie, who was in goal, Eddie Giacomin, and just made it over the goal line. And the crowd went nuts, and of course I went nuts. Not sure why, because we lost, but I'll never forget that game. So is it possible that this goalie stick, this Eddie Giacomin, beautiful piece of lumber from 1974, is the stick Eddie Giacomin was using that night when I saw my first Canuck game? I don't know, but it is very, very possible. So that is the story behind the stick. We are selling it, of course. Unfortunately, as is the case many times when kids were gifted sticks from players, they often use them to play road hockey, and this one was. The blade also shows a little bit of wear, but it does not take away from the visual beauty of this Sherwood game-used Eddie Giacomin stick. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, in person, when you see this thing, it is way nicer than on camera. The second item that we have, near and dear to my heart. I am a goalie mask fanatic, and there's a great story behind this mask. So the person that sold this to us was a goaltender himself, a beer league goalie, but when you're a goalie and you're part of the brethren, whether it's beer league, rec, or you've made it all the way to the show. And the story behind this mask is that in 1987, this gentleman was determined, it was always his wish, one of his dreams, one of the things on his to-do list, to have Greg Harrison make him a goalie mask. For those of you that are familiar with Greg Harrison, he was the premier mask maker, along with Ernie Higgins, but probably a little more famous than Ernie Higgins, in the 70s and 80s. And he designed and painted the majority of the goalie masks in the NHL and probably the WHA, again, in the 70s and 80s. And this gentleman contacted Greg Harrison, went to Greg's cottage, sat in Greg's barber chair, and had this mask molded to his face. It took several days to do. I could never sit there and do that. I'm way too claustrophobic. But Greg Harrison did it for him, and this was one of the last masks Greg Harrison ever made for a non-professional goaltender. And then years later, this mask was white. Years later, the same owner of this contacted, here we go, Hart Designs. And if you Google Hart Designs, to this day, they are one of the premier airbrush artists for goalie masks. They do a lot of professional masks, and they did this one for this gentleman. It's a custom job. I'd like to say one of one, because I believe that's what Hart Designs does for private collectors, if you're going to contract them to paint a mask for you. And his idea was to have all of the Canadian team's logos on his mask. And to me, he's got the right ones on top and bottom for eye appeal. You've got the tribute to Doug Favell when he played for Toronto in the early 70s. And if you don't know what I mean, Google Doug Favell goalie mask, Toronto Maple Leafs. And then the incredibly beautiful Vancouver Canuck logo on the bottom. This mask is for sale, and it is, again, like the Giacomin stick, just incredibly beautiful in person as opposed to on camera. And then a couple more pieces. We're going to stick to the goalie theme here. So again, I'm sorry for holding the camera in one hand and trying to show an item in the other hand, but this is, I hope again I can do this justice here. This is a 19, I believe from around 2002 or 2003. This is a game used Michael Leighton game worn jersey from the Chicago Blackhawks. Michael Leighton had a really good career in the NHL. He played for a handful of teams, including Nashville, where I think he ended his career, Philadelphia, I believe. But he was drafted by the Chicago Blackhawks, and that's where he broke into the league. So he played for the Hawks in 2002 and 2003. This is, you know, the cuts on goalie jerseys. The sleeves are just absolutely massive. And there's a little bit of game wear on this. I'd like to show if I could. A little bit of piling. And there are definitely some game marks on here. Of course, I kind of had it out to show, and then I when it was folded, I sort of forgot. But a little bit of wear on the crest there too, a little bit of a puck mark. So again, a beautiful jersey of Michael Leighton. To me, this is one of the nicest, if not the nicest, uniforms in all of sports. So again, just a few beautiful pieces here that we've recently acquired. If you are a mask collector, a game-worn jersey collector, a game-used stick collector, or just a lover of beautiful pieces of sports memorabilia, please contact us at AA Sports Cards, as these items are for sale. And we will be back really soon to our usual sports cards videos, but I wanted to make a video to show this beautiful stuff. Thank you for watching. Thank you for indulging me. And if you would like to talk to me about selling your vintage or high-end modern sports cards, or you have some really historic sports memorabilia, we can discuss that with you as well. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please visit our website at aasportscards.com, because it shows a lot more than my videos do, especially letters from people that we've sold collections for. That's our bread and butter. I want you to see that people have trusted us to send us their sports card collections, and they're very happy with the job we've done for them. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back again real soon with more videos.